So these are just a couple of quotes that kind of introduce the whole topic and kind of sum up the topic at the same time. And I know they might be hard to read on your screen, so I will go ahead and read these. Contrary to popular belief, there are no negative emotions. There are only emotions that are harder to experience or cause more distress for certain people. And the more you suppress those emotions, the harder they are to manage. And another one along the same vein, we cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the painful emotions, we also numb the positive emotions. The whole point of being alive. So those are great quotes that I have really reread several times. And then this last one is kind of is mine, but it's just kind of to because I need to simplify everything because I can't remember enough. But I think we've all heard that phrase, fake it until you make it, right? But that does not work for me, was not working for me. And so I want to really not do that. And instead, I want to face it to embrace it. So, like they said, stop suppressing those negative emotions, really confront them, deal with them, and use them. And so that's just kind of where we're going tonight. And then, like my co-host had said, we're going to introduce ourselves and we have some questions for you guys to introduce yourselves in the chat as well. And you don't have to share if you want to be mysterious, but we do really encourage these workshops to be interactive and for you to share. And so just to get us going, please do share your name, where you're joining us from, if you're open to sharing things that trigger your anxiety or your depression. And also, it would be great if you can share what, if anything, helps you cope. And if nothing, that's okay, because I have been there, and I'm pretty sure Alicia has been there, where we had no idea what to do. So if you don't have an answer to the third one, that's okay. But we're really, really glad that you're here, and we just want to hear from everyone. Oh, and I want to mention that I know it's very dark. I feel like I'm in the dark, and that's just, I hope no one minds. I'm here, but I have a lot of light sensitivity, so I'm going to keep it really, really dark over here. So just a little bit about me, and then I'll introduce my co-host, and then we'll jump into the content. My name is Carrie Danny. I graduated from Fresno Pacific University, born and raised in California. I have 25 years in the nonprofit and disabilities special education, between volunteering and working. Currently, I am not working, but I am a home educator, doing very neurodiversity affirming homeschool and unschooling. And I am very proud to be the vice president and founder of Rise. And Rise is the nonprofit that's bringing you this presentation. And we do a lot of other great programs, support groups for parents, support groups for cancer patients, retreats, respite retreats for families and cancer patients. And Alicia was integral in helping start Rise. So happy she's here with us tonight. And I want to share a little bit about me and how this came to be, how Rise came to be, and why we're doing these workshops. And I see chats coming in, so thank you guys. Yes, please do send in your intros. So I'll try to keep it brief, but I am living with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer since 2017. It's breast cancer that's spread throughout my ribs and hips and spine and skull. But I am thrilled to say that I am stable on chemo. And I have been for years now, and I'm extremely grateful. But it's been a long process of getting here, of getting to being stable. I was in and out of the emergency room many times. I was in a lot of pain. I was really struggling. I was tremendously stressed. And when I was first diagnosed, I had a an 8-month-old baby and a 2-year-old. And both of my daughters would later be diagnosed as autistic. And the little one you see there was non-speaking until age 4. And it was just really stressful and difficult between my treatments and my exhaustion and my pain. And I really, really struggled. I can't hide that. I struggled immensely with worry and anxiety, with overwhelming sadness, with anger even. And I was suppressing a lot of it because I wanted to be positive and I wanted to be grateful, but I didn't know how. I was just too overwhelmed to even think straight, really. And I did not know what to do. But I was really, really determined to improving my mental health for myself and for my girls. And it's taken a lot. It's been years, many years of me doing counseling and therapy and hypnosis and support groups and learning so much and working on myself and, going on to be certified to help others. And so I started a support group for cancer patients, and it's grown and grown and grown, and it just really helps us. It really helps us stay positive. And so I wanted to expand that because everyone that I know has stress and has challenges, even if you don't have cancer. Even if your kids don't have extra high support needs, just adulting is hard, parenting is hard. And we all have that stress and challenges, and I still do too, and I have harder days than others, but I really have learned ways to to deal with it, to just deal with it, and to be more present and be happier and be in the moment. And so I just really want to share my hope and making connections with all of you. I also want to mention that I use humor to help me stay focused. So this is a serious topic, and but there might be a few memes thrown in, and just please know that this is very serious to me, but that's just how my brain works. And I'm always learning, so I really want to hear from all of you in the chat. And next up, I'm going to turn it over to our co-host for this evening. I could say a lot about her. I've known her since I think she was 18, and I have really seen her grow through so much, personally and professionally. And I'm very proud of her. And we've done a lot together over the years. Just sharing and talking and normalizing these difficult conversations. So I am really excited to introduce all of you to Alicia Vargas.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Carrie. So as far as my background, I attended and graduated from CSU Fresno with a degree in public relations. So a lot of public speaking, which anyone who knows me knows that I have severe anxiety, especially when it comes to public speaking. So I picked the world's best major for myself by doing the exact thing that used to terrify me. So I have 20 plus years in the disabilities community, initially starting out as a volunteer, as a camp counselor with Carrie, and I've been blessed to just have her friendship and have our volunteer family with me over the years, and that has brought me into the professional disabilities community. I am a manager at a day program for developmentally disabled adults, and I am also a board member of RISE. I help with the marketing and communications, and I am just very passionate about today's topic, and you'll see on the next slide why this is very near and dear to my heart.
Yo, somebody smell like shit? Y'all not gonna shit show. Yo, smell like shit! Oh, my fault. You good. Somebody smell like shit!
I'm pretty sure those were the same ones from the last time, so we may want to take note of that name. So moving on, because this whole workshop is about the unexpected happening and us dealing. So that's a perfect example. My personal journey stems a great deal from a mentally and emotionally abusive marriage that I left, and a lot of the healing that went into just coping with that entire time frame of my life. That was actually part of what made me recognize that I was dealing with anxiety and depression, rather than just being sad, just thinking I'm just kind of sad. um, so I have had a long mental health journey coping with depression and anxiety, a lot of self-diagnosing, a lot of just trial and error trying to figure out what works best for me. And in the process, I have become a big advocate for just ending the stigma of talking about mental health. I had to build a support system, which I am so grateful to Rise for, bringing that all together. But I didn't initially have a huge support system, and there was a lot of stigma when it came to me addressing my mental health, me recognizing that I was struggling, and there was a lot of just negative feelings about me talking about it in general, and a lot of shame. And so I'm a huge advocate for discussing. I I enjoy discussing depression and anxiety. It is a heavy topic, but there's a lot of light when it comes to just supporting, accepting, being judgment free to people. And so that's where my journey is. That's what has brought me here, and that's why I'm so excited to co-host this workshop today. All right. So if you would like to chat in, we would like to encourage you all. Like Carrie said, this is an interactive workshop. So this graphic here shows some of the major symptoms and signs of depression and of anxiety. And you'll see in the middle that there's an overlap. It's really common for people to assume that you either have depression or you have anxiety. But it's possible, and it's very common for you to also be dealing with both. And I'm one of those lucky ones who got the double dose and is dealing with both depression and anxiety. And let's see. Is anyone else having trouble viewing the slideshow? Carrie, I don't know if you want
I
to.
can see it. Yeah, I can see it's like the Venn diagram.
Yeah. Okay. This will also be available online. We are recording. So if anyone does want to refer back to see what we're viewing, if you're having trouble, you're more than welcome. So in the chat, if anyone wants to share what, again, I know we asked about triggers, but if you would like to share any of your symptoms, and if you are one of the lucky ones like me who deals with both, how that shows up in your daily life. There, as I said, is a big overlap, and sometimes one can trigger the other. All right. So in addition to that list of symptoms, a lot of those symptoms were more common. We also included this list of some of the unexpected symptoms because over the years, my personal journey has made me realize that some of the symptoms that I experience, I never knew had to do with anxiety or depression. For me, mine manifests a lot as anger, irritability. Um, Carrie and I joke that it's like, how dare somebody not be bothered by the same things I'm bothered by? And, how dare they not feel upset about this thing that's triggering me? And I didn't realize that my irritability was a symptom of my depression and anxiety. And it took years for me to realize that. Um, I deal a lot with indecisiveness. Um, One surprising thing for me was the physical symptoms. When I first left my marriage, I broke out in just head to toe hives that had never happened before. I don't have any allergies. It took a lot of Google Doc to realize that it was an anxiety symptom. So please also feel free to share if you have any less common symptoms that you would like to share. Carrie, I know you have mentioned that you have some of these that have cropped up over time.
Yeah, and something that, like you said, I didn't for so long realize that these things were my anxiety, or that, because my anxiety was getting worse and worse, it was more difficult to deal with just everyday things like my sensory oversensitivity and discomfort, and that's become something where I can figure it out backwards almost, like, so if I'm trying to get dressed and just literally everything I own in the closet is just, it's too tight, I don't like it, I'm uncomfortable. I used to struggle like that all the time. And now I really realize, okay, something bigger is going on, and I will stop myself, you know, halfway dressed and sit down and be like, okay, no, what's really bothering you? Because you can't even wear your comfortable clothes right now. And so yeah, it's so many things, and the more that we're aware of it, then the more that we can deal with it, and not let it, it used to be, like I said, I would go trying all these things on and getting more and more frustrated because everything was uncomfortable. And but I really needed to like face some other things or deal with it, or at least, confront it, talk about it, etc. And just a lot of other things like other co-occurring additions, co-occurring conditions, that can happen. So many things. And so again, it's just really important that we're understanding ourselves, like labeling our emotions, and aware of these things. So I do see chats coming in. Again, thank you guys. Yeah, we want to hear from you, and yeah, chime in about if you experience some of these uh, same things, as that's a long list up there on the screen, or anything else too.
And it's really helpful and it's hard to do. It took me years to be able to do this, but as you start to recognize these symptoms, kind of taking inventory of just your state at any given time. Because when I start to get more irritable, and it took my husband pointing this out, like, is this your anxiety kicking in? And now when my irritability starts to, you know, pick up, I can take that mental inventory and realize, okay, this wouldn't normally bother me. What's really going on? So over time, work on taking that just inventory of what you're feeling and assess, are you feeling anything anxious, depression, anything that might be connected?
Okay, so um so as Alicia said, as you know, you're trying to become more aware, pay more attention, deal with the feelings, be they difficult, stressful, happy, all the feelings, like trying to confront them. Radical acceptance is something that I learned that has been tremendously helpful for me. And I think we've all heard the term. I think the term's kind of been thrown around a lot, or we all know what acceptance is. But sometimes when I talk to people about it, their understanding is, yeah, I just need to accept it. I need to just get over it, let it go. But that's not quite it. And there's just a lot more to it, because I think that that attitude is what we do a lot of the time, right? I need to let it go. I need to get over it, turn the other cheek. But when you're ignoring it and you're not truthful with yourself or other people about that something is bothering you, it doesn't go away because we ignore it, right? It can get much worse. We can fester, and that's where we are, obsessing on things, ruminating on things, and it's getting worse and worse, and our anxiety is getting worse, or our depression, or even our anger. And I know for me, when I got my diagnosis, I was trying, so hard to be positive, right? And but I was worried, I was scared, I was hurting, I was, it was really, really hard to just be positive. I didn't know how to do that. And with anger, especially, I kept just pushing that away, because I felt like I can't be angry. I can't. I need to stay positive. I should be grateful. I should be grateful to be alive. And I am. And so every time when the anger was coming up, I kept stuffing it down, and it was getting worse and worse. And I was really, really struggling. And I was depressed and anxious as well, but the anger was getting worse and worse. And you can try to ignore it, but it bursts out, here and there. And that's not what I want to do. That's not the parent I want to be, not the friend I want to be. Oh, we've got a special visitor. Oh, your tummy feels better? Okay, awesome. Did you want to say hi? Okay, real quick. Just gotta go back to the meeting.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
There she is.
Hi. Hi, and bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
There she is, my biggest motivation for getting myself together. But the anger was really one where, once I finally admitted to myself that I was angry, I was really angry about a lot of things. Once I admitted it and I faced it, it took time, of course, but I was able to work through it. I was able to accept it. I was able to really dig into what was making me angry, why. And I just know that, like I said, all the time when I was ignoring it, that did not help. That made it worse. But the radical acceptance helped me so much with something really, really difficult. So I'm going to try to walk you guys through it, and excuse me, because I really started using it in the beginning with my illness, but it's something I use now for everything. So it's a distress tolerance skill that we can learn and practice. It really does take practice, but to endure without suffering, because again, all of us, we have hard things in our lives, and truthfully, we don't know what might happen tomorrow, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, and there's no way to predict everything. I like to plan, but we just can't. And so this skill is so helpful for the future, for whatever may come. So you just start with really reminding yourself that your reality cannot be changed, because it's easy to get stuck on, I wish things would go back to normal, or once I save up enough money, I'll be happy again. Once I lose weight, once we can go on a vacation, or whatever it is, and you're waiting, or you're wishing things were different, and that makes it very hard to be happy right now, happy today with anything, and because we're stuck in these what ifs. Oh, okay, wait, she's closing the door on me. Okay, it's very dark now. It's okay, leave it cracked. Thank you. Okay. Again, I'm still here in my dark little cave. But so just going through the inventory of everything and reminding yourself it cannot be changed. This is what it is. And so accepting your whole self, mind and body, exactly as it is, does not have to be perfect, but truly accepting yourself as you are. And really practicing that non-judgmental self-talk, because we can be so critical of ourselves and again wish that we looked a different way, or we lived somewhere else, or we had more money, or so many things. And so it's really, really important that we work on this, because again, this one's hard. This one takes a lot of practice, but accepting yourself exactly as is right now. And that is going to bring up sadness and anger and grief, and that's okay. You are alive. And again, those are not bad emotions, but they are human emotions. And it's okay to feel them. We all do. But the more that we can actually share how we're feeling, even if it's really hard. And if you can't share it with others, if you can't talk about it, write it down. You don't have to mail it to anybody. You don't have to put it on the internet, but write it, journal it, cry, scream, whatever, rip stuff up, but just process your emotions, the really difficult ones, the good ones, all of them, and really process them instead of repressing. And at the same time, we're really, really focusing on what we can control, because again, reality bites, right? But we can't, there's a lot of things we can't change. There's a lot of things we can't control. And when we let go of that, and we put our energy into what we can control, even if those are very small things, you can still control yourself and your reactions. You can control some things. And the more that I learned to do that, the more that I really, again, expressed my emotions, the more that I focused on what I can do, it helped me really be present, get out of that worry stage of, oh gosh, this is so hard. I don't know what to do. I'm tired. I'm just all the worries stacking up on top of each other. This helped me to focus on today and be present and enjoy whatever it is. Enjoy making a hot cup of tea, enjoy a giggle with my daughters, enjoy the purring of our kittens, because we're fostering, he says. Those are our kittens now. We have kittens. This just really helped me be present, and that has helped me really calm and stay so much and just find so much more joy and not worry as much.
So one other tactic that we have talked about is reframing the negative voice. And part of why I wanted to bring this up is because a lot of people take that to mean just look on the bright side. And anyone who has experienced difficult emotions knows that that's one of the most frustrating, anger-inducing phrases, is just look on the bright side, because if it were that easy, we wouldn't be depressed or anxious or angry or any of that. So for myself, when I am in a spiral, I can be fully aware that what my brain is telling me is completely false. I have just been a puddle on the bathroom floor with my brain saying, you're failing, you're not a good mom, they're disappointed in you, whatever. And I am fully aware that that is a complete lie that my brain is telling me, but that doesn't help. So reframing that is just finding ways to logic your way through those thoughts. So, for example, empathy. What would my best friend say to me? What would I say to someone else who's having these thoughts? Because you imagine your friend telling you these things about themselves, and you are telling them that's not true. You're amazing, you're wonderful, I love you. And you have to realize that you kind of have to follow your own advice. That's one of the more simple ways of looking at it. I tend to go more extreme. And when I have friends or coworkers or my bosses telling me that I'm doing a good job and I don't believe it, I go extreme and I think, do I think these people are liars? Because of course not. I wouldn't hang out with liars. I wouldn't hang out with people who are going to tell me one thing to my face and talk bad behind my back. I know that logically. I keep good people around me. And if they're good people and they're honest people, why am I second guessing what they're telling me? Um, it took, you know, I worked through this with my husband because he would tell me, if I were upset with you, I would tell you. And he is frustratingly honest and blunt. So I know that's true, but I would look for the negative. I would be convinced that he was mad at me and I had to logic my way through. Would he lie to me? No, he would be annoyingly honest. So, um, facts, like looking at the facts of what's going on in your life. Um, you know, reframing what you're saying so that it's more positive. Um, looking at the context. One thing that Carrie and I have talked about is in 10, 15, 20 years from now, is the thing I'm worrying about really going to matter? Is the bad thought that I think someone's thinking about me really going to impact my life in 20, 30 years? So sometimes you think big and extreme to kind of see how ridiculous that inner voice is. One other thing that has helped me is giving myself grace with the tasks that I just can't do. When I am dealing with anxiety, depression, simple tasks are so hard, and I would feel so much shame for like not being able to finish my laundry, letting the dishes pile up. In this example, I would want coffee. I would have everything I need to make coffee. Why can't I make coffee? What's wrong with me? So you want to acknowledge the challenges in your life and plan by accepting that some things are just harder. When you're dealing with anxiety, depression, anger, just any mental health or physical health issues, you'll see in the example of neurotypical people, people not dealing with depression or anxiety, if they want coffee, they go to the kitchen, they make coffee, they drink the coffee. If if, if I am in the middle of a depression low, you'll see on the right, what do I have to do to make coffee? Well, first I have to get the energy to get up. Then I have to get the energy to go to the kitchen. If my anxiety's in full swing, then I have to get a cup. And if that cup is dirty, I gotta wash the cup. Then I have to fill the coffee maker with water, add coffee. It's 3 times as many steps. So I give myself grace and recognize, hey, you're not being lazy. This is actually hard. And I plan for it. Like maybe I can't do all 9 steps at once, but I can get up and I can walk to the kitchen. And if I need to, I can take a break to get the energy to go get that cup. So I plan for it and I give myself grace. So this worksheet, it was uploaded to our event page. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, you're welcome to follow along. We want you to think about something that is worrying you or that, has worried you and we're gonna go through this worksheet. And if you would like to share in the chat your answers, please, we welcome that. So the first question is, what is something you're worried about? So if anyone would like to share something that they're worried about, please go ahead and put it in the chat. Since Carrie and I are all about just bearing all, we have prepared to share some examples as well. Oh, that's exciting, Bobby. Jenny, I feel you there, because sometimes it's just a general worry about life in general. Work timelines. That's kind of along the same lines as my examples. I always worry about work projects, or you know, if I'm gonna complete them well enough, and the feedback I'm gonna get. Failing. Medication worries. So as you're sharing what you're worried about health and the unknown, one thing that we also want to look at is, and we're going to look at both sides of this, but what are some clues that your worry will not come true? Because it's possible the things we're worrying about are never going to be as bad as we think, or are not going to happen at all. So what are some signs that things are going to be okay? For my personal example, I tend to worry a lot about work, and if I'm going to do well, if I'm going to perform well, you know, if I'm living up to what my bosses expect or want. For clues, I have had good feedback in the past. I know my job. I'm a planner, so I know I'm prepared. Support system. If you have a support system, that's huge. Thank you for sharing about the health concerns, because I know that is one thing that's sometimes hard to logic your way through. And Carrie, feel free to let me know if I'm talking too much.
I know. I'm like, did you want to, are we ready to go on to the next? Because this is only half the worksheet. So
yeah, I think you all can continue to share, and we'll keep going through the worksheet. I really like that. Failing is not the end of life. Sometimes you need to think that big picture way of, like, you know, what's that joke? But did you die? Like, if you fail, the world is not going to end. Things will keep going. If your worry does not come true, what will probably happen instead? So if it doesn't, I would say if it doesn't come true, or if it's not as bad as you imagine it will be, what could happen instead? You know, what's that one quote? What if I fall? Oh, but what if you fly? Yep. For me personally, if it doesn't come true, things will go well. I will get good feedback. I will feel silly like all the times before I worry. That's so true. You feel silly, but then you feel good because, like, what was I worried about? And if your worry does come true, how will you handle it? This goes along with Carrie's radical acceptance. Like, what can you control? What can you not control? Will you eventually be okay? For myself, if a project doesn't go well, the world will keep spinning. My kids will still love me, and I will have learned what doesn't work so I can hopefully not make that mistake again. Learn from the experience and try again. And after answering these questions, how has your worry changed? Usually, when I run through these questions, I may still be worried, but it won't be as extreme. And a lot of times will have kind of a backup plan in my mind of, okay, if this does happen, once you have that kind of plan in place, you know that you can handle it if it does happen.
And I'll just chime in on that last question there about, because I read, I go through the worksheet too. And for me, I think what really helped is that when I really answer all those questions and get to the end, I realize like I do have options, because sometimes again, it's just, you're just worrying about like that worst case scenario or that what if. And when I really thought it through of like, okay, and if that worst case scenario happens, then what, And so that's, I think, my favorite thing about this worksheet is like, again, it's not like the worry went away or but like I felt better because I just realized like, okay, we do have options. We can handle it. There's, we'll do what we need to do. And it has helped me it's brought down the anxiety for me.
Yeah, the chat says help you feel safe and feel better. I like that phrase too, because feeling safe, that's a really important feeling, because when you start to worry about these things, I don't think a lot of people realize that your fight or flight starts to kick in. So you start to have real like physical reactions as if you are not safe. So that's a really good way of looking at it. And I like this point as well, trying to create a circle of support, but also learning the skills for when your support isn't there.
Yes, that's super important because, yeah.
That's
Even with a strong support system, there's just some things they can't help with, or they're just not there, or learning those skills on our own. I love that.
That's the SE part of RISE, the self-empowerment portion. I am safe. I am loved.
Yes. Yeah, that's when I will say to myself too, like right now, I'm safe. I'm alive. I'm breathing. And I do that one with my kids too, because big emotions. But yeah, just truly reminding yourself like I'm here, I'm okay, I'm safe. It's important. Thanks, guys. This chat is awesome, I have to say. Okay, I think are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Oh, is this it? Oh, okay, look at this. We're almost to the end, guys. Um, so this was something we wanted to share, be kind of in a lot of ways, because this presentation was mostly talking about our own internal emotions and how we try to process them and deal with them. But we realized again, everybody is dealing with their own difficulties in different ways, and we want to be able to support them. We want to understand them, or we want to give them grace when needed, especially because yeah, when you're struggling yourself, you know that others are, but it can be hard to think of how to really be there, be emotionally supportive for other people if you yourself are feeling so low, or so frustrated, burned out, etc. So these are just really great reminders. I like this about these different trauma responses, that our friends or loved ones might show. I won't even, you guys can read them. I'll point out, a few, but like the get quiet and withdraw out of nowhere. Oh, ding, ding, ding. You won't be hearing from me. And again, it's like, I've dug into it. I've learned about how that's kind of a trauma response of having to be, again, not having that support and feeling like you have to do things on your own, right? Or, um, uh, cancel plans last minute. Again, I don't have the energy, or I don't have the motivation, or it's hard. But I see how that could be um upsetting for friends and family. So again, like I just love this of thinking of these types of things in terms, because this is what they are mostly, right? They are a trauma response, or again, they're having a bad day or whatever it is. But I think we can understand that. I think we can all have compassion for that, but we kind of need a reminder, because yeah, it might just seem like, oh, why are they avoiding me, or why do they keep canceling, or why are they still dating that date people who aren't good for, like, there's a lot of things, and you can't. So but when we come at it from this more like compassionate approach of like, you know what, they're working on it, they're struggling with it, I still love them, and like, I think by us having more compassion for them, then hopefully that's the two-way street where our loved ones can reciprocate that to us as well, right? So that when we're down, when we're low, and maybe we're not yeah, giving it 100%, because we don't have it, that those people in our lives will understand. And then this other one about loving someone with anxiety, again, just has these really great examples. I think my favorite one is to don't take their questions like, you still love me, right, personally, or just don't take it personally in general, because again, if they're going through something, if they're struggling, it's probably not even about you. And but they're having a stress response, they're having trouble regulating and processing, and all of those things that we've all gone through too, right? But so that's been big for me, learning
I'd
to
rather have another motherfucking civil war before we let a bitch run fucked up.
even let this person in earlier. I am so sorry. uh, Sorry,
I think
guys.
you can report them too.
Well, I want
So
I'm gonna stay so I can get good.
one thing, one thing that I've learned just in that same, line of thought is I I realized that I was lucky to have a support system in my husband, but I was terrible at being that support system for him, because when he would exhibit these signs, I would view it from the lens of my depression and my anxiety. So he tends to withdraw, and I would immediately take that as, he's mad at me, or I would feel rejected. And so I would view it from my lens of my mental health struggles. And I had to start recognizing and put that on the back burner and view it as this is his sign.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm back. Um, that is about it for tonight. We do have a few more minutes to take any questions, but we definitely want to let you all know that this is a two-parter because there was just so much more that we wanted to cover and get into. So we really invite you all to come back and join us for part 2 on this same topic, which will be Tuesday, September 17th at this same time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific.